the main contenders of the console war, Xbox, PlayStation, they've been vying for power ever since PS5 and the Xbox S and everything.
Since PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
They've been vying for power since they came out. But I mean, in recent times too, it's sort of been like a, who's going to be the best? Do we care about this anymore? Because there's been an announcement that Halo, which is, canonically only Xbox. When I grew up, I had to go to my neighbor's house to get their LAN to play Halo because I was a PlayStation house and I didn't have an Xbox. But now they say Halo's coming to PlayStation.
First and foremost,
I feel like we're at a funeral.
I feel
just like a big sigh.
And I'm thinking about it because we've had 4 generations now of PlayStation and Xbox being the top 2 contenders. I know Switch sold gangbusters, we sold gangbusters, but we're talking PlayStation, Xbox here.
And PlayStation, which is now Sony, with Microsoft, 2 big powerhouses.
Right, exactly. And they have a bigger budget than Nintendo. They're bigger companies.
Than Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft and Sony do much more than video games, so they have the budget behind them. But is it really a war if one side wins every single battle?
And you think that's PlayStation?
It is PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation 2, best-selling console of all time.
Still have mine.
The closest Xbox came was the Xbox 360 versus the PlayStation 3.
Yep.
Where for a majority of the lifespan, Xbox 360 was doing awesome. They were number 1. But guess what? Towards the end of the lifespan, Xbox lost steam.
Red rings. You guys remember the red rings?
Red rings was a factor. Great games on the PlayStation like Last of Us. Their exclusives kind of came out towards the end of their life cycle and boosted sales towards the end. So even the closest they got, PlayStation 3, still outsold the Xbox 360. And then the last 2 generations, PS4 and PS5, killed Xbox. Killed them.
Because there was Xbox One and Xbox S.
I don't even remember the names anymore. XS, SX, Xbox X and a half. Like, what the fuck? Microsoft, you've honestly, that's a factor. It's not the only factor. What the fuck is up with the naming of the Xbox?
They blundered that one.
They really did.
You already have X in the name.
Yeah,
do a number after it.
I don't know what these numbers these stand for.
That's like when the iPhone started. The iPhone was like, we're really getting up there with numbers. Yeah. We should start calling it SE and different things. Then people were like, actually, we hate that. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Nintendo 64, stupid name, dated, but it still works. It's iconic, and the Xbox Series 1. What are we doing? The Xbox One?
Also, what is this NASCAR?
That's the third one?
The Xbox Series 1.
I don't even understand that. Again, they botched that so bad. It makes me not want to buy their consoles.
But you also bring up an interesting thing, which I hadn't really thought about. Shelf life of these consoles. Mm-hmm. I still have my PS2. And it works. Mm-hmm. And I brought that to college, and I did not take care of it. I would put it under my bed. It got dusty. I didn't keep it in a safe box or anything. My PlayStation 2 still works. Most of my games are fine. My Xbox...
But you're lucky your disc didn't get scratched or your
I kept them in a case.
Laser.
I kept them in a case. Yeah. But my Xbox 360 got the red rings, and ever since that Xbox died, I did not buy another Xbox. Yeah. Which I think goes to show PlayStation outlasts more games on the PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And now that, a huge contender like Halo, I feel like Halo... What are people playing on Xbox aside from Halo?
No, I agree with you. I'm curious why. I mean, that's the one thing that could possibly be a system seller and an exclusive for Microsoft.
Because of the money!
And I get it. Halo isn't what it used to be 20 years ago, but...
Yeah. But people still like it.
People still like it, and it's I would want to hold on to that just in case, the value might explode in 10 years. It's either they're giving up, and Microsoft is kind of throwing in the towel as far as a real console contender, leaving it to Sony and Nintendo, or they have something different planned in the works.
You think they've got a back pocket IP, and they're like, oh, you take Halo. Who knows? Who knows what goes on behind closed doors?
I mean, or maybe a different type of video game. Maybe they're, VR is still waiting for a huge leap. Maybe
could you imagine if Xbox outpaces
it's
PlayStation
possible.
with VR?
I mean, it's Microsoft. I don't see them lying. It's like Google just giving up and letting them. The CEOs make too much money. I mean, that's a different argument to just not even try to compete when you have this huge market share, which they're losing.
Like you said, Microsoft is not only video games. They have a lot of other markets. So this could, they could look at the Xbox as the Yahoo answers of what they've got going on, and they're like, yeah, we actually don't need you.
It's too much of, I mean, and you could argue there's a video game bubble, but compared to like streaming bubbles and other things, I feel more, video games have been more and more popular since their inception. I don't see them. It's Microsoft. They're an evil giant corporation. Like, they're not going to leave money on the table when there's money to be gained. They're going to try. They're not just going to lay over and die and give up their rights to Halo for no reason, right?
Make a bold prediction, Marcus. What do you think Microsoft has going on? You think they got a back pocket IP?
I don't. I think they have some kind of gaming computer or handheld thing ripoff. No, I don't know. I don't see it. Honestly, my instinct in Occam's razor is that
they are giving up.
They just can't compete. Yeah, maybe that's because that's the thing too with these crazy expensive consoles. It's a risk, you know. When the PlayStation 3 was $600, I believe to manufacture the PlayStation 3 was still like $800 or something crazy like that.
Well, dude, now video cards, you know, are going for so much more because of fucking bit mining and all that stuff to run the computers that are doing all of that. Whatever.
I'm not that guy. I am terrible with finances. Money scares me. But if you told me that Microsoft lost money on the last generation of Xboxes, I would believe it. And then, you know, in this economy, then it makes more sense for them to kind of be selling off what they can while they can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's weird.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. The whole console war thing, I think it's like a fallacy of a name. I don't think it's a war. I agree with you. I think it's like a slow dying, just like a slow, it feels like a slow fizzle out at this point.
I feel like console wars is very much a 90s thing, and it was all of advertisement. Remember when McDonald's and Burger King would have ads just straight up ripping each other?
Yep.
Pepsi and Coke were probably the biggest example. Pepsi would go after Coke.
PlayStation had some of the buck wildest ads. David Lynch directed a PlayStation 2 ad. Mm-hmm. That's the scariest, weirdest thing you've ever seen, and it makes no sense, and it's just like, PlayStation.
Right. Oh, that was the 2000s marketing.
Oh, true. That was the 90s.
Weird.
Yeah, 2000s.
PlayStation 3 had some, like the weird baby doll. Do you remember that one?
Oh my God. Now I just want to watch the ads.
But in the, like, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. That was like a huge deal.
Oh my God. They were just doing like slander marketing.
Just straight up attacking Nintendo, and it worked. Genesis was above Nintendo until the Super Nintendo came out.
So what Xbox needs to do is bully Sony.
Well, it used to be a war. Like, it used to be Sega versus Nintendo, Nintendo versus Sony. And it's just kind of become a little neutered, and you don't see that as much. And again, it's the fact that Halo is going to be on PlayStation. It's just unthinkable in the sense of the wars of the 90s. But when you have these giant companies that aren't video games first,
man, you know what's crazy too? Everyone's going to have to like remap their PlayStation controllers because they're going to be so used to Xbox. They're just going to be like, everyone's going to suck at Halo again. This is the perfect time to get into Halo. You can murk everyone if you're used to PlayStation. The console stuff too. You know, the other day, I digress, but I went to show my fiance Cyberpunk, because he was looking for a new game, and he had played Outer Worlds.
Sure.
And I was like, I think you'd really like Cyberpunk. It's kind of similar with the HUD interface, you know, sort of futuristic. He didn't like Skyrim. He was like, this is not for me. I want something more like action-packed. And I was like, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, I bought it in the PS Plus store when it came out. I disabled my account because I wasn't really using it, but I'll just enable it again, and you should play on the PlayStation.
Sure.
I have a PS4. Yeah. Logged in. Went to go look at Cyberpunk. I was like, oh, we'll just buy it. We'll just buy it because I don't have the account anymore. Just like, fuck it. We'll just own the game. Little message comes up, and it's like, hey, they're not making patches for this, and they haven't since 2022.
Jeez.
For the PlayStation 4. They just
only PlayStation 4.
Straight up, they just were like, we're not making any more updates to this, because Cyberpunk has had a huge overhaul of updates, amazing DLC. Phantom Liberty is incredible.
That wouldn't bother me for many games, but that's a red flag for Cyberpunk.
I was just like, like the game came out in like 2021. I was like, you stopped making patches in 2022? So I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, this is worthless. And granted,
so it's janky. It's not like they fixed most of the issues, or
no, they did, but not anymore on the PS4.
Got it.
So like he ended up buying it on the Steam Deck because I was like, you should get it. It's amazing. Just it's not worth it to buy it on the PS4. And then he was making jokes at my expense, and he's like, you know, this console came out in like 2013. This is an old console, and I was like,
mind blowing.
I was like, don't you say that. I don't need a PS5. But the console wars are real. Like, and it comes back around where they sort of force you into picking one at some point. You're like, you're going to have to get a new console. So I still think that PlayStation comes out on top. You know, when I go to look if I'm going to get a PS5, if I ever want to play beautiful Cyberpunk on my PlayStation again, I'm not going to get an Xbox. I'm probably just going to get another PlayStation.